Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the 8th episode of the SGA podcast. Thank you for joining us today. I'm here with the freshman senator, Michael Heston of SGA, and I'm also here with Shayne from Rewrites. So I'll let you guys do a little introduction for yourself. Michael, if you want to start.
What's up, everyone? Back again. I was sick last week, but here I am now.
Hi, I'm Shayne. As he said, I'm the president and editor of Rewrites and also the co-editor of Atlantic Cape Review.
And so Atlantic Cape Review. Okay, so you're a big writer. You're very into that writing process, and you try to collaborate with other writers too in your position, I guess.
Pretty much my sole job for both clubs is to edit.
Yeah.
So typically with ACR right now, I am doing little stories, but primarily teaching people with less writing experience how to write and then editing their stories.
Yeah.
With Rewrites, we just submitted for publication last Friday, and we made edits for them today, so we're hoping to have the book out for the semester in the next few weeks.
Hey, cool, awesome, man, nice. And you're also in a work-study position here, right?
Yes, so it has transformed from a work-study into basically a part-time job here. I'm a student engagement representative at the school. I basically help out Miss Lisa and whoever over in student engagement need to make it. I make the campus groups things and make flyers for them. And then I essentially do all that, like a secretary.
Cool, awesome. Yeah. So in your position, I guess, as a writing editor, and you you look over all the writings that are submitted by people in ACR and in Rewrites, correct? And So what is that process like? Can you describe that, I guess?
So they're a little different for both. In Rewrites, it's typically when we start the editing process, we will then go through it as a group. There's about, I want to say on the best day, about 8 or 9 editors.
I was reading through some of the rewrites from last year a little bit. I think the main editor, the main person of it was like Alexandra or something like that. I'm sorry. Alexa. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not good with names. But I was reading through some of these short stories, and they were very engaging and very personal to a lot of people. I could tell there was a lot of energy flowing out of them almost, And I guess I've done a little bit of writing in my personal life. I have a journal that I try and go through to sort my thoughts a lot. So when I'm writing in there, I try to get very personal. I try to miss nothing at all. So when I look through the rewrite section a little bit, and I see that there's these stories that are very personal to some people, and I see that we actually do have a lot of creative writers at the school, and people who are willing to actually put their work into pages for the school and publish them and allow people to see them. I think that's a really great outlet for people. I can really appreciate that.
And I think people. So that's the great part about it, is that you get people like you who see it and go, oh, that's really cool, maybe I should submit or something like that. But the sad, I think, thing about reality of a lot of the students here is, even the creative writing majors, is I don't get a lot of submissions from them.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. I have to, I've went to multiple classes and I've had to come to terms with, okay, maybe they're just taking these classes because it's a hobby.
They just have to.
It's for them.
Yeah.
But I do talk with a few of them, and they are creative writing majors, and it makes me a little upset.
Yeah.
Because not because I'm like, oh, how dare they not submit?
Yeah.
It's you're going to school for this.
Yeah.
What is your portfolio?
Yeah, you need to develop that. You do.
And even if it's a small literary magazine like us, it's still something to put into that little award section for your portfolio when you're doing Common App.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a little unique thing with clubs here. This is my first year. I guess last semester was my first semester being in a club, and I'm graduating this upcoming semester. In the spring I'm done.
So
you're
done?
This is my last semester here.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm waiting for college. So the unique experience I have is I was essentially thrusted right into a president seat at Rewrites with no experience with what it was. And the VP seat with ACR was having only written one article for them.
That was for SGA what we were kind of thrusted into too. And none of us knew how to do our jobs. We just kind of I was blind. I had never had any club experience prior, but I did have decent grades, so they kind of let me in and they said, hey, just join and just you'll get the hang of it. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll just sit here and attend the meetings and sit here silently while we're going to these Senate meetings and you guys are doing your business and I'm just sitting there, whatever. And it's like that a little bit sometimes because you don't exactly know what you're supposed to do in a position like that. And I think for a lot of us, including Zakia and maybe our treasurer Juwan and Sarah and even Michael and me, it's just very hard to know exactly what we should be doing with our influence and our position, But I guess we do try, and we've been getting the hang of it slowly as time has gone on. I personally wanted to do this podcast because I thought it would be a good way to connect with people more around the school, and apparently it is working a little bit. We're having I feel like this is a long form communication device for people to kind of like see that we're just real people.
Yeah,
like we
exactly.
just want to hang out with guys. And sorry, I don't mean to cut
No,
you off.
no, that's fine, because it goes into the entire thing of like, I joined because of I was at the same seat as the students that don't submit. I didn't have any portfolio. I have an amazing GPA.
Yeah.
But when you get that amazing GPA, you're like, the world's my oyster.
Yeah.
But then you start talking to professors and other people, and you realize, oh, everyone who's submitting to those good schools also has the amazing GPA.
Yeah.
So what do
Yeah.
I need to do to set myself apart?
Yeah.
I feel that.
So I figured I wanted practical experience.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's where ACR came in. I worked with the journalism section of Rowan. I got a paid piece to write for an environmental story.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
So
cool.
and so I was like, okay, so I'll join a club. Because the big thing in communication is like work hard, support each other, get involved. Those are the three
Yeah.
pillars of the communication department. So I said I did the first two, and in order to do the last two, essentially two as well, is you should get involved.
Yeah.
And so I became a mentor for Journalism 2
Yeah.
this semester. I became a member of Rewrites and ACR, and within the first month, I got asked to be editor.
Yeah.
But the first month of like school even beginning, no meetings have happened yet. I wanted to help out. I let Rich Russell know, hey, I want to help out. I have experience. I've done Creative 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I want to help out and get this book out.
Nice.
And they were an entire fresh new class, so he was like, with the experience, do you want to be president?
Yeah.
And so he ran that by everybody, and everyone elected me president.
Yeah.
There you go.
And again, I had no experience with that. I was like, oh crap. Right?
Yeah.
I was like, what am I going to do?
I'm hoping a little bit that this podcast, when we have the next SGA generation, Michael's going to stay in the SGA next year, so he can kind of mentor people on how like this whole thing will work. But I'm hoping this like whole idea that I'm trying to develop here, this long form communication format, will ultimately become like something that SGA can kind of utilize to maybe provide more of a template for what they should be doing around the school, because as SGA members, we should be getting like involved with the clubs more and like trying to connect with people and not just do what we need to do and get out, because ultimately if that is the case, then we're not forming a student body like around the school. We're not having a big sense of like communication and like understanding between us, and sometimes they can get like malformed, I guess, and you get like tension and like this weird like
we're making it more personable now.
Exactly. So
creating a student body.
Yeah, and when we get more people next year,
it's a legacy thing. Like you want people to understand. That's what I kind of in the first few weeks that I was the editor of Rewrites, I kind of wanted to see what they did the last few years, and I realized we didn't really do much going for submissions, like asking for submissions.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, let's do a theme. We've never done it, so I picked a theme, seasons, and so that's the whole entire book now. Is going to be laid out in the 4 seasons. It's going to be designed around that idea. So because I had the head of like coffee table book.
Wait, the Rewrites book?
Yeah.
Really? It's going to be developed
cool.
in 4 seasons. So how does that work?
It starts off in winter. It goes to then spring, summer, and fall.
Yeah.
And each of the pieces within it were either intended for those sections or interpreted by our editing group about what section to go in. My idea going in was anytime you had throughout the year, you could pick that book up and go, I want to feel like I want to get cozy, I want a good fall story, let me get a good horror piece for fall. Let me get a good, the winter, let me get a good cozy, like maybe sad piece, because I'm feeling a little depressed. And then in spring, let me get a good love piece, because I'm in there. And so that was sort of the idea going in with it, because I wanted to have people engage more with the book.
Yeah.
And then from there, I teamed up with ACR to make sure that our speaking story contest happened this year, and we turned it from a 8 submitting thing for that, like there's only 8 submissions last year for a speaking story contest, to 34 submissions this year, and like 3 winners and 3 honorable mentions.
Yeah.
Then we did the poetry contest to a little less avail, but I still had 21 unique submissions. So the whole goal was to bolster this book and to get people to know what our theme was, and to get submissions in for a legacy thing to then show these group of freshmen that I thought were freshmen that I realized so many are graduating.
Yeah, you're providing like a template for them.
It's like this is what you should do to move forward.
That's great. That's really like useful, and people underestimate that kind of stuff.
Because I wanted to show people, like, again, going back to the portfolio thing, I always try to stress, I'd go to the creative classes and be like, hey, if you want to work in this field, if you're going for a degree in this field, And if you want to go out of state, you don't want to go to Stockton, you don't want to go to Rowan, you don't want to go to Rutgers, you want to go out of state, you need a portfolio.
I wish I did that. Yeah. I wish I did that more at ACCC, because honestly I'm going to Rutgers in the fall, but I had like a great GPA, and I could have like gone to a better school if I applied myself.
Rutgers is so great, by the way.
Yeah, it's fine.
I always
it's going to be fine.
If you're going to like Rowan or Rutgers, don't worry. I'm not trying to say, hey, don't go. I'm saying if you're going to out of state, where you have a much harder time to get in because you're not in state, you don't have these programs that directly put you there.
It costs
you
more.
Need something.
But it costs more, but it's also like you meet a lot of Rutgers is like for business is what I'm going into, is like it's the top 50, like one of the top 50 business schools, especially, and in New Jersey they're providing free tuition apparently, right? But when you try to go to a better school, for example, like I feel like I could have gone to Princeton if I actually got involved more and I got better like experience here and I had better connections and people who were willing to like fight for me to like actually like get into that school. Maybe I could have like done it. I felt like and you just like, even for all the freshmen who are watching who are like just like coming into the school here and like think maybe they can do it, they have good grades and stuff, it's not that like it's not gonna mess you up if you don't get involved. You'll still be fine, but like you should get involved. Like it will help you a lot.
Freshmen who are going within the communication route, you'll eventually meet Keith Forrest, the professor who's the head of the communication department within the arts and humanities. Again, 3 pillars. The third one is always get involved. Because in this department, at least communication, it's so important. Because they always, like he tells us, like they gotten calls for looking for students that would typically you would imagine you would call a business student for, but we get called for communication students because our students get involved. They learn how to develop those communication skills, whereas people who have the degrees, you might be able to fill in the gaps as a communication student because you already haven't stepped up. Because a lot of our generation, despite me, I'm 26, but I'm still Gen Z. So a lot of our generation, they don't have communication skills, and a lot of these clubs will kind of force you into there. And also get involved, because I think you'll meet a lot of great people here.
You will. You absolutely. Definitely. And if you're a creative writer and you're in that like field, I guess, at Atlantic Cape, like these guys like will help you like develop your stuff. And, like they'll make you
I should say
writer.
That too. A big thing about if you're a creative writer and you want to get into the editing process is if you join Rewrites and you want to get into the magazine, you have a leg up. So typically if you submit, I'm not going to email you back and go, hey, I don't like this line, can you alter it, then I'll get it. But if you're in that room and I go, all right, I'm not going to put in a bad piece, but I'm like, hey, this poem or this short story is 1 line away, or it has a weird area.
Just like give them a little,
if you fix this, and if you're willing to fix it, it'll go in.
And that's the upside. A lot of people think it's a personal thing when you're like when you're in like the creative writing field and someone, you submit your art maybe and you think like these guys are gonna publish it and you think I don't want to get criticized, I just want my work out there, and it's like that's respectable, but at the same time, dude, learn to take it in stride, you know, because it can really help you. It'll make you a better writer.
I always say exactly, like you want to start small so you don't begin big and get upset when like you submit to, let's say, like a really important literary magazine to get denied. Like you want me or a student here to get you into your first book or deny you your first thing, because then you'll get the process done. And it's always the first step that's the hardest, because I think everyone's, like I said, it's their personal thing, so they get so close to these stories, and it's just almost the same in journalism as well, where I always tell them, like, hey, I am not critiquing your experience. I am just critiquing the writing.
Just the writing, because there is like parts you can develop and like turn into like more. It'll even get you closer to your experience sometimes. Like I feel it, because when I write sometimes and I put something down and then I think about it, I'm like, maybe this isn't like my actual personal vision a little bit, you know. And then I go back and look at it and I try to change it a little bit, and it actually like feels like better, and I feel closer to myself and like closer to the world around me. And when you're doing that self-reflection and then you're putting it into writing, like that is such a valuable thing.
I think many people, when they write, they put pen to paper. They often like they'll think it's great, and then they'll never read it again, or they'll like.
I reread my stuff so much. Man. I reflect on it.
Reading
so
it
heavily.
out loud, putting it away for a week, and coming back to it. Like I draw too.
Yeah.
So when I draw, I like always the 3 a.m. like motivation, right? When you're like, oh, it's 3 a.m. in the morning, I got this perfectly in my head. You'll draw something, you'll write something, and then you'll go back to it and go, ugh, were my eyes blurry? Like this looks awful. This is awful. And so a lot of times people don't understand, like you need a new set of eyes on it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time, that's why editors exist. That's why famous writers always will have editors.
I might actually want to
like
get involved with this stuff a little bit, because after I do want to I want to become a better writer and reader, but the
behind the scenes is a big teacher, because when I submitted, so I have 2 pieces in the 41st edition, was last year's, and I was like, oh, they altered how my poem looked. How dare they? You get in the actual editing room. It becomes a nightmare, because sometimes how people do their lines, how people do their stanzas, how people do their stories, you have to then go, oh my God, I have to alter it. Because I have this much space on a page, and their line for the poem is this long. So then I go, oh my God. And then you quickly learn, oh, they're not disrespecting your art, your voice.
It's hard.
You have that's the big thing. You have to understand what the format's for. If it's an online submission, you don't have to worry about that. But when I start to go to print, and our books are like coffee table books, I have to alter some stuff. And so we had a big challenge with that, because I had to hit up writers, artists, and hey,
that's fun.
This is a piece. It's really good. We're taking in. Obviously, you got the email. Can I change the format? And all of them said yeah. Because realistically, everyone's just really happy to be published. Because they're just, hey, I don't care at that point. I just want to get published. What I learned is a lot of people that complained about that didn't get accepted or didn't even submit. So you're always like, oh, I was so worried. I'm not too worried about you guys changing the layout of my piece, because I noticed a few others got to just submit.
Just submit it. Just submit it. Just go through the process. It works.
Are so worried about being denied by me, or by us.
Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. Honestly, other people's opinions of you can't let it get to your head too much, because sometimes it does get to a place where it can be really toxic a little bit, and you just need to focus on your own mental health and your way of dealing with things sometimes.
And sometimes you gotta learn sometimes I've got accepted by places, denied by places, and the same pieces I got denied somewhere else got accepted somewhere else. Sometimes it is the editor behind the thing of their personal opinion, or for our book, I had to turn away some pieces that had no connection to our theme. And that's also they're not bad per se. They just
standard,
with the book that I'm going with, they might just not fit the theme. So that happens a bunch with people, that a lot of literary magazines, sites, and stuff. Sometimes you'll submit something that's just not what they're looking for that current time, and so a denial doesn't mean you're bad. It just means it might not fit. And that's a big thing you have to come to reality with.
So I wanted to ask you a little more about, I guess, your creative writing, personal creative writing process, because I understand that you seem like a creative person. And where does that inspiration come from?
So I have a weird story with history with that. Most of my life I didn't write. I was just the kind of student that I got to high school and I could fake a paper. Big story. I had a girl tell me information about a book over the summer that we had to come in 2 weeks in the semester and write a piece about for a test. I got the highest grade in the class from that. She tried to tell on me. So I've always had a decent area with writing. I don't even get below 98s on my papers. I'm very good at it.
Good.
But with a creative process, it didn't start until I was about 17. A few years before that, I started writing comics, or read comics, I should say. Then I wanted to write comics, and then from there I started to do creative writing. I didn't write poetry until I was 25. So a year or two ago, essentially, I was 24, 25. And that was just a random professor in the Creative 1 class who was a poet. She's an adjunct.
Oh, that's cool.
So a lot of her stuff was poetry, and I had to essentially break down that wall of not liking poetry or thinking I couldn't do it.
So what's your poetry about?
So my poetry is typically about, a lot of it is overcoming depression, loneliness, and the contradictions of those. Is a lot one I just had submitted, or will be in the rewrites. This magazine is called Love, and it's about how you might not feel like you should be loved, and how the contradiction there is that everyone does, and it kind of goes in the path of a person being nihilistic to eventually realizing that everyone deserves it, no matter. So that was sort of my journey of between 19 and 22 was overcoming being a shut-in and depressed and about gaining body weight. And so last year, a thing I think it was called Stretch Marks. Which just starts off with
I read that one.
I
skimmed over it. I did see it.
So it's about how I started off looking at my stretch marks after I gained weight as ugly things, and over time the poem goes from being a kind of a stitched together rambling piece to like rhythmic and rhyming thing at the end to show essentially a path of like returning to like what do you call that, like not normalcy
home?
But yeah, essentially like you're overcoming something now. You like I think you're like scars become paintings essentially is the last line. And so it took me a while. It's essentially my journey of being overweight and depressed and then going through working out and realizing as I got better with my body and it got looking better, I also developed more stretch marks. So it wasn't about no longer, the stretch marks weren't about really depression. They became from a source of like happiness and like doing well and overcoming it, because I think a lot of people don't realize is that those weren't just like physical manifestations of my body being happy or like, oh, I lost weight so I'm happy now. No, it was also a mental thing I had to go through.
No. People don't understand sometimes. Your pain is very unique, and like, just because someone else has been through like worse, and you feel like that they're they can write better because they've been through so much. That doesn't matter. Honestly, if you can own your own pain and like realize that there is like a place of healing here that you can inflict upon other people, even if you haven't been through much in your life. You feel like sometimes you feel like maybe you had a perfect life. You can still write about a lot of stuff, and you can put a lot of personal feeling into it. And I think we've had similar experiences in some sense, because I also lost a lot of weight last year. I lost like nearly 80 pounds, and I recently started going to the gym more. So I am getting to a place, of like feeling good about myself, and I can kind of like see sometimes that there is like places of reflection that you can come back to, and there is states of mind that can really benefit you and your art and your work, and you just need to be confident in it and just keep going sometimes.
That was like the big thing is so when I started to put the like words in writing, it became that I have a process sort of, if you want to know, obviously go back to the process, is I write it on loose leaf paper first, is typically what I do, and then from there I turn it kind of rambling nonsense. It's just like I
just go.
That's a big thing. I always tell people, like, just write.
My English teacher says that literally.
Just write.
That's it.
And I always say to do it on like paper, because I feel like a lot of people when they write in a Word document or Google Docs, they see it as more of a final product.
It's more professional. Sometimes I use the notes on my phone, the notes app,
exactly.
and that's a big one for me. And then I also have a notebook that I write stuff in.
And that's great, because when you actually go through to put that into an actual like document or Google Doc or whatever you decide to do, what you print from, you're much more likely to edit it. Whereas if you write it in like a Google Doc to start it with, I feel like you're a lot less likely to scrutinize it because it almost seems like it's a final draft.
You're trying to be like precise.
So that's why I do. I'll start off. Typically, what I did a lot, I wrote like a bunch of poetry over the summer, and it really is just like waiting for you to be not in the mood, but in a psyche of wanting to write. And so a lot of the stuff where I looked into like how to develop a chapbook, which is like a 15 to 21 piece poetry book. So I kind of went with themes of like loneliness, love, and like overcoming, and from there, so from there, I was able to write it over basically almost the entirety of the chapbook. But I ended up deciding to not make it, but then just submit to places. And so I always encourage people to. I think the hardest thing people realize is step one is to just write.
Just write. Just get it down and just don't
writer's block.
Think about it.
Just write.
Do think about it, but like also don't think about it. Don't get so obsessed over it that you can't do it. Because I've had moments where I've been trying to write. I write like song lyrics sometimes a little bit. I try to. I'm not good at it yet, but but when I do try to write song lyrics, I sometimes get caught up in so much, and there's like the like I write one line and then I sit there for 30 minutes and I'm thinking like I don't know what to write. I don't know, and you just have to let it flow sometimes.
People will often like, oh, I'm so worried about writing well, or like I'm like, you're gonna learn over time that let's say like that line you thought was like amazing, the worst line you wrote. I'm being serious.
It's hard for me personally. I can like write, I can just like go, but I can't like format it sometimes. Like I don't know how to do poetry at all. Like I try to, but and even like A B B A or like basic rhyming schemes I can't follow. I don't know how to do it at all. That's why I kind of want to. I might actually like really join after this. I just want to see what it's like.
Freeform, you can do freeform, which is typically just like you write a line and keep going. But there is a rhythm and storytelling to poetry that I don't think many people realize. Like even if you're doing freeform, free prose, like it's literally there still has to be a rhythm. Because somebody is reading it, and you have to, and your body matters. You'll learn that.
I analyze song
body.
lyrics a lot, so I like do see that, and like they have very interesting rhyming schemes, and like the morals in a lot of songs are like very. It's poetry sometimes, essentially. Kendrick Lamar, for example, one of my favorite songwriters and authors. He's a poet. He's literally a poet. And if you listen to his music, if you look at the song lyrics, he is literally so reflective in his process, and you can like very clearly see that this guy cares. And I don't mean to like go off about rap music or like my favorite stuff, but it's just like sometimes when you get songs like that and you get people who are really passionate about their work, especially in that field of like music, like you can see that they do have a lot of passion, and I want to be able to I want to bring that passion out of me a little bit. I just need like work to do it.
Yeah, Rewrites. What's interesting about the club in general is it's typically an editing club. That's the whole point of it. Like we're not really like a writing group. It's like you are joining to learn the behind the scenes about how you publish a magazine. However, the great thing is in the beginning of the semester you meet every other week because we're not doing much. We're waiting for submissions. And then beginning of this semester we're meeting twice a week. But now we're done. So you could, realistically, the only things we have planned out is a event for the book when it comes in, and that's really it. So really, if you let's say join now and you end up being in the club later, you could really have so much time to do whatever you want. You could make a writing workshop. You could you can write together if you'd like. It is, I think, what many people obviously know what clubs are for, but specifically publications clubs like ACR and Rewrites specifically. Is they are a place to develop friends. Because
social groups. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Like people would probably, if you walk into G Building, you'll see the communication department clubs like radio, ACR, Rewrites, Tag, any of those other ones. They are wildly intertwined. We go into each other's rooms, we talk to each other all day, and honestly, even being at like my old age, I have developed a lot of friends here, and it made the experience overall a lot better because you're around people who are here for specific reasons.
Exactly.
You're here, you have
all
the
the
same
same
goals,
stuff,
and you'll learn quickly that like a lot of people around you are kind of here for all the same reasons you are, and they have the same belief system. They'll have the same hobbies. They'll have so you develop friends out of school as well.
I'm just now seeing the value in this like campus actually because I did take a visit to Rutgers for the first time like yesterday or the day before that, and that was my first time actually like going to like a college. Like I'd never seen a big real college before that, and I was looking at it and I was like, wow, this is big and like cool, but also it's very like square and corporate. It felt like a little bit to me, and I was like, wow, like this. And then I compared it to Atlantic Cape Community College a little bit, and I saw like compared it to this campus and like the life here, and I'm just now seeing the value in this whole school because we have such a small intertwined community and people don't understand that we really have that here and we really have
like, it's like everyone matters
everyone matters and you can do whatever you want literally.
You'll see the same faces all the time. You'll see people who are like the funny thing is you'll see a lot of people who you don't understand do a lot. People do a lot. People do a lot. I'm sure that most of the time when I dress nice, people think I'm like a professor here. So
you do look like a professor.
But when I get a lot of people that go, oh my god, like you're the editor of Rewrites. Oh my god, you're the co-editor of your student engagement. Like you realize quickly how involved everyone is here once they get involved. Because the reality is you can be as involved as you want.
As you want.
Like Kat, the editor of ACR, she is more involved than I am. And it's crazy. Like you can be as busy as you want here. You can have as much fun as you want in these clubs. Really, like that's the great thing about them is that, and I think more so ACR. I'll go into a little bit. Is ACR is great, and it's sad that we don't get more writers because it's the one club I think here that truly matters with practical work. Yeah,
what does ACR do, by the way? Because I don't know it. I know they put out newsletters.
I gotta go.
Oh, you gotta go, man. Shoot.
I'm sorry.
Really? Oh,
I got class at 2.
Okay, you good, man.
I just have to eat because it's like 2.5 hours.
You good, bro. All right, you good.
We can wrap it up quick.
Okay, so Rewrites. So if I wanted to join Rewrites Club, where can I go? Like, what is the room number for you guys, and like, how can I join if I'm like a student wanting to?
If we allow virtual thing as well, so if you ever want to do that, you could reach out directly to the email, which is rewrites@atlantic.edu, or Professor Russell or Dr. Frew on the faculty site. You can they'll give you all the information about that. However, if you're on campus, which we would much rather you be, because it's a lot more engaging, and we're in the publications room.
Yeah.
The publications room is room G111.
G111? Okay.
And
all right. Yeah.
most of the time there is somebody in there. Most of the time. So if anyone's in there, they'll point you directly where I'm at. I'm here 4 days a week from 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. essentially. Yeah. So you could get in touch with me very easily. Yeah. I'm right in that little room in the Student Information Center.
Yeah, I see. I walk by there. If you're in the G lobby at all, you're probably going to see this dude at some point because he is really active. Like you'll see him like around.
I'm first contact the moment you walk in there. Yeah. Everyone thinks I'm the one-stop center, so I can point them in the correct direction. Yeah. But yeah. There's always somebody in that room.
Cool, yeah.
We've got hot chocolate in there. We got coffee.
Hot chocolate and coffee, guys. If you don't join for anything else, if you don't like writing at all, come there for the hot. Just talk to them, honestly, because if you get involved in like a social group here at all, like I would say ACR and Rewrites are probably like some of the most like engaging clubs in that sense. They do have like a great community in there, and I see it sometimes. We're in the SGA office like right across from them, so we look in there sometimes and we see like these guys are like really involved with each other and like actually trying their best to like get work like done and like they're passionate about it.
It's a friend group area.
It's a friend group, yeah.
Like it's entirely, I think, a missed opportunity for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like Rewrites. Yes, it's like ACR is the most missed opportunity. I really hope people look into both the publications, and they're so cross-pollinated. Like you could do both easily.
Yeah.
Like really easily, you can do both.
Yeah.
Because Rewrites is a great experience, more casual, relaxed. ACR does come off like homework.
Yeah.
But it will give you the most practical experience you will ever get in this place for a club. Maybe not the nursing club, obviously, culinary. Those will give you that too. But in terms of like outside of the like in departments, that will give you the most experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
And both the clubs will be amazing.
Yeah, cool. So if you guys are maybe interested in joining Rewrites or ACR, from what you've heard here, if you guys think like maybe he's, I think they have a great social group in there. So if you guys are looking for a social group at ACCC and you don't know where to go, maybe check out ACR and Rewrites first because they're a great place to get that introduction, I guess. And I did almost try to join like ACR when I first like got here, but I got a little hesitant and I like skipped it. I just went to SGA instead.
And also say we don't just need writers. Yeah. That's the big thing with both of them. Like Rewrites is always in the writing group. It's more of like a critiquing and editing session. Is a big thing. ACR, social media, photography, graphic design, writing, interviewer, anything you really want is in those two clubs. And like we have cross pollination between both. Social media managers go in between. Photographers, all stuff like that.
Definitely.
Is just graphic designers. Like these aren't just writing clubs; they're publication clubs. So really, it's whatever you want it to be.
Absolutely. So if you guys are interested, go to G111. Come talk to Shayne, man. He's cool. I can tell you.
Professor Russell.
Email Professor Russell. If you want to do it online, there's ways to do it online too. But
Rich Russell, not F.E. his mother, but Rich Russell. Email him or Dr. Catherine Frew.
What are their? Do you know their emails?
They're on. I'm pretty sure they're on the faculty site.
They're on the faculty.
If you just look up the faculty directory, go to Rich Russell or Catherine Frew.
Richard Russell or Catherine Frew, and they'll help you out, get you into it, and it'll be easy for you. It's not as hard as you think it is. It really isn't, and you can do it very easily here.
We meet every week at 12:30 to 1:45 p.m. in G111. We're always in there. Cool, I'll be in there. Just swing on by, open that door, kick it in if you want.
Definitely. So, all right, guys. Well, Michael had to leave last minute because he had to go to class, but it ultimately, I think it's been a pretty good conversation between us. I think we did get to learn a lot about what you do here, and like we got that, I guess, social connection now a little bit. So I feel like that's good for us and SGA to get involved with the clubs more. And man, thank you for coming on, dude. It's been a good conversation.
Absolutely.
We can. All right. So thank you guys for joining us on the 8th episode of the SGA podcast. We hope you enjoyed our conversation today. And G111. It's a good club, man. It's a good club. So I'll see you guys. Bye.